All right, it's good to see everyone this morning. I'm going to give it another minute. A couple more people coming in. We'll be in Judges 10 this morning. If you have your Bible, you can go ahead and open to Judges 10. We'll be there briefly, just briefly. The handouts are chapter 11 and 12. Right. Let's go ahead and get into our study this morning. I need to make up a lot of ground, and I feel like we're going to do that this morning. We have this month to get through the book of Judges. And there are 21 chapters. So that's not bad. In January, let me just remind you, and then we'll get right into the text. Matt, with the classes for both for all the kids, upstairs, downstairs, we're going to move the quarters to start in February. So the first quarter of the year will start in February. And that will help us, just as a congregation with the kids, to follow more along with the school year. But I think more importantly, it follows when the kids are out of school. And when we switch quarters, the kids are not on break, the kids are here. So we have January, that's this kind of weird month now where we need to do something for class. And so what we're going to do is we're going to combine all the adults. So currently there's 3 adult classes, this one and 2 others. So we're going to combine all the adult classes once again, but we're also going to bring the high school and middle schoolers with Matt in here with us, but we're going to move out of the auditorium to the fellowship hall for the month of January. So we should have about 4 months, and we have a study picked out, and we have different teachers January, and then we'll reconfigure in February for new classes. So let's pick up in Judges chapter 10. It's a very short chapter, and I could not remember if I passed out a handout for Judges 10 last Sunday. There's a big part of me that feels like I did, so that's why I did not do it this morning. I was feeling, I think, ambitious last Sunday and thought I would get through chapter 10, and I did not. So to conserve some paper instead of double printing if I did chapter 10. But if you know for a fact you didn't get it and you would like a little handout, but chapter 10 is not long. It's going to summarize some stuff for us, and that's really all of chapter 10. And then we get into our next judge. And, well, chapter 10 has a couple of judges. They're minor judges, and then we'll get into our next major judge and the events for that judge. So chapter 10, let's go through it quickly. We're introduced to the next judges after Abimelech died, and remember the interesting events that happened with the end of chapter 9. There was a tower. So just to summarize verse 52, this is chapter 9, 52. So Abimelech came as far as the tower, so some tower, and fought against it, and he drew near the door of the tower to burn it with fire, but a certain woman dropped an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Obviously a millstone that was probably indoor use and probably milled grains or something, and then they would have larger ones outdoors that were so heavy that some kind of animal had to pull it. But this was obviously a smaller one that this lady is able to pick up and throw it out this tower. It hits Abimelech in the head, enough to crush it. I'm sure he's going to die eventually. He did not die right away, and his dying words are for the soldier with him. Verse 54, then he called quickly to the young man, his armor bearer, and said to him, draw your sword and kill me quickly, unless men say of me, a woman killed him. About 5,000 years later, we're talking about it this morning, and so that didn't work. So in fact, if anything, it just made it worse, the fact that he didn't want that to be known. And anyway, this is not the first man in the book of Judges that was killed by a woman. Remember, I can't remember names right off the top of my head teaching, but a couple of chapters earlier, we read about a woman who drove a tent peg through a man's head, nailed him to the ground, killed him that way. So these women, hide your tent pegs. If you have a millstone in your house, that's the conclusion of chapter 9. And this, what happened to Abimelech, how he died so violently, was to repay him for his evil against his brothers. Remember, he went up against his brothers. There were 70, all the sons of Gideon, and he would have been one of them. And he killed all of them on one stone, except for the younger brother who hid. So 68 of them died by the hand of Abimelech. So then Abimelech dies, and that evil is repaid him. Then we get into chapter 10. Here's the next judge. We have Tola and Jair. We'll read about them just quickly. After Abimelech, there arose to save Israel Tola, the son of Puah, the son of Dodo, and a man of Issachar, so we know which tribe he came from. And he dwelt in Shamar, in the mountains of Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years, and he died and was buried in Shamar. So he's a minor judge, again, not because he's less important. He judged for a long time, 23 years. It's just that the writer here, we only have 2 verses to him. And so then we have the next judge, Jair, however you would say it. After him arose Jair of Gilead, a Gileadite, and he judged Israel 22 years, and he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys. Some of these judges, some of these people, Gideon had 70 sons. They had a lot of kids. Had 30 sons, rode on 30 donkeys, and they had 30 towns, which are called Havoth Jair to this day, which are in the land of Gilead. Gilead, if you look at, and if you have a map in front of you, I believe it's on the east side of the Jordan. In Gilead, and Jair died and was buried in Kamon. And so there's 2 judges, quickly. There's only 12 in the book of Judges, and there's 2. So let's read the rest. The rest is just Israel falling back into sin and oppression, but we get some of the details. In Israel, the children of Israel again did evil on the side of the Lord. Remember that cycle all throughout the book, happens time and time again. And served the Baals and the Ashtoreths, the gods of Syria, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the people of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines, and they forsook the Lord and did not serve him. So the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and into the hands of the people of Ammon. And that year they harassed and oppressed the children of Israel for 18 years. All the children of Israel who were on the other side of the Jordan, I believe that would be the eastern side. The other side is usually referred to as the eastern side of the Jordan, in the land of the Amorites in Gilead. Moreover, the people of Ammon crossed over the Jordan to fight against Judah also, against Benjamin, and against the house of Ephraim. So they're fighting against these particular tribes, so that Israel was severely distressed. Now, what happens next is interesting to me. This is new, because up to this point, when Israel cries out to God, God is hey, I hear your cries. I'm going to raise up a judge. This time, he does, but he has some reservations at first, and he questions the Israelites first before he does anything else. It's almost like, as a parent to a child, to Kessler, he's old enough. Whitson's not quite there, but Kessler's old enough where if I tell him not to do something and he does it over and over and over, I'm going to get to a point as a dad where I'm like, I told you. I told you and you didn't listen. Did I not help you earlier? Did I not, And so it gets to the point where God does the same with Israel. Like, did I not save you already? Did I not bring you out of Israel? Did I not, and I keep doing this for you. And God's just going to say, this time you're going to have to learn your lesson. But he will save them eventually. But let's notice that dialogue here. Verse 11, so the Lord said to the children of Israel, back up to verse 10. And the children of Israel cried out to the Lord, saying, we have sinned against you, because we have both forsaken our God and served the Baals. So the Lord said to the children of Israel, did I not deliver you from the Egyptians, going all the way back to the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the people of Ammon, and from the Philistines, and the Sidonians, and the Amalekites, and the Moabites oppressed you, and you cried out to me, and I delivered you from their hand. Yet you have forsaken me and served their gods. And so God says, have I not saved you from these people, and these people, and these people? Now you have continued, and you've forsaken me again. Therefore, he says, I will deliver you no more. Verse 14, go and cry out to the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in your time of distress. And so God says, go to these Baals, these false gods, these idols that you have chosen to worship. Go to them, cry out to them, and see what they do. I have continued to work. I have continued to save you. I'm the only true God. Go to these false gods, cry out to them, and see what happens. And, of course, nothing, we know. It's like crying out to this pew. It's not going to do anything. It's just wood, it's fabric, it's cotton, it's paint. It's not going to do anything, just like that false idol. And the children of Israel, verse 15, said to the Lord, we have sinned. Do to us whatever seems best to you. Only deliver us this day, we pray. So they put away the foreign gods from among them and served the Lord, and his soul could no longer endure the misery of Israel. I don't know what else to say about that verse, but that is super interesting to me. Like, it hits me hard. Like, initially, God's like, I've already saved you, have I not? And they reply to God, do whatever you want to us. Do what you see as fit. Just deliver us. And it gets to the point where God can no longer endure what is happening to Israel. Now, they've repented. It says that they confessed. They confessed. And do to us what you will, only deliver us this day. So they put away the foreign gods. So they confessed and they repented. They confessed and they repented. And they served God. So now it's to a point where God, they are faithful. And God, his soul could no longer endure the misery of Israel. Then the people of Ammon gathered together and encamped in Gilead, and the children of Israel assembled together and encamped in Mizpah. And the people, the leaders of Gilead, said to one another, who is this man who will begin to fight against the people of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And so then we're introduced to our next judge, which is Jephthah. You may know Jephthah, or at least you may know something that he vowed. And it's something it's terrible. I don't know why he vowed it. And every single person this week that I listened to said the same thing. Why would Jephthah make this vow? Like, what would lead a man to make a vow that he made? And he perhaps kept that vow and followed through with it. So maybe you know him from the vow. But Jephthah, he's our next major judge. So more is said about him. I'm not really going to go verse by verse. We'll read some of it just to get an idea of what's happening, and then I would like to jump to chapter 12, which is relatively a short chapter, and we will read the events in chapter 12. And then there's 3 more judges in chapter 12. All right, Jephthah. I will focus on the first 7 verses. So the main characters, if you're looking at your outline, the summary, the main characters, you have the Ammonites. The Ammonites, they crushed and they oppressed the people of Israel and wanted to take Israel's land as their own, and so they are the oppressor, the Ammonites. We have Jephthah, who was a mighty warrior, which is what a judge was in that day, and God will use him and raise him up. He was the son of a prostitute, and you say that's not important, but it is important. As we study the text, we'll see why. He was a reject because he was the son of a prostitute. And all of a sudden, they come to Jephthah, and they're like, hey, we actually need you. And I'm sure his mindset is, well, first you treated me terrible, and you abandoned me. I was an outcast, and now all of a sudden you need me to help you. And so then we have Jephthah's daughter, and she is the object of her father's foolish vow. All right, let's jump down to the outline. Actually, if you look at the 11 summary, there is a map. There is a map, and if you look at the left side of your paper, so that would be the eastern side of the Jordan. You see the Sea of Galilee up top and East Manasseh, and you see the Jordan River that flows down to the Dead Sea. You can see Gilead, and it's boldened. It's in bold letters, so you see it there. That's where most everything here is taking place, as it talks about Gilead. So it's right above Gad and Manasseh, East Manasseh, the tribe of East Manasseh, and then there's a tribe on the west side. But so that's the territory where all of this is happening as it talks about Gilead. So, chapter 11, verses 1 through 11, and we'll notice here Jephthah. Let's read. Now Jephthah, the Gileadite, was a mighty man of valor. Now, as we read these first couple of verses, notice it does not attribute a tribe to him. It doesn't say that he's from any tribe. Because of that, there are Bible scholars and commentators and others in the religious world that believe and suggest that he might have been a Gentile and not a Jew. In fact, it was not Josephus. There's another first century historian that wrote about Jephthah, and he even claimed, and he's a historian, he's not inspired, he even claimed, and I'll think of his name later, but this first century historian wrote that Jephthah was a Gentile. Now again, he's a historian, he's not inspired, we don't know that. But it does stand out that most of the other judges, if not all the other judges, it says what tribe they were from. With Jephthah, it doesn't, and he's the son of a harlot. The harlot could have been the Gentile. So, anyway, just some thoughts there. Now, Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, but he was the son of a harlot. And Gilead begot Jephthah. Now, Gilead, I believe, is the name of his dad there. Gilead's wife bore sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out. See there? And so then later they're going to come back and they're going to be like, well, we actually need your help. But they treated him this way because he's the son of a harlot. And so it seems a little bit unfair to Jephthah. He can't really do anything about who his mother is. the actions of his father kind of thing. And so he's just kind of the result of some bad decisions earlier in life. But because he is the son of a harlot, his other brothers are like, hey, you're not really part of the family. We don't really own you. And so kind of a miserable situation here with Jephthah. But then things are going to turn around a little bit for him. All right. Then Jephthah fled. This is verse 3. Then Jephthah fled from his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob. And worthless men banded together with Jephthah and went and raided with him. That's probably how he became such a man of valor, if I had to assume. He's learning it. He's an outlaw, it seems like right now. He's learning things and doing things, but this is who God calls. And it came to pass after a time that the people of Ammon made war against Israel. And so it was, when the people of Ammon made war against Israel, that the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. Perhaps they know of his reputation as a man of valor. And so they know he's the one that can help them. And there's, I'm sure, some providence here with God to raise him up as a judge. Verse 6, then they said to Jephthah, come and be our commander, that we may fight against the people of Ammon. So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, did you not hate me and expel me from my father's house? Why have you come to me now when you are in distress? So I told you, that'll play a role. The fact that he was born to a prostitute and the way that they treated him. And, reading it almost, I guess it's the time of the year. It's the time of the year. It almost reminded me of the story of Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, right? So all the reindeer treated him a particular way and made fun of him and bullied him just because he had a red nose. Oh, but then when he was needed, we actually need you now. It's foggy and Santa can't fly a sleigh. We need you. And so it just really related to that kid's story. But it's playing out here in the book of Judges. And Jephthah's like, did you not hate me and drive me away? And all because my mother was a prostitute. Verse 8, and the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, that is why we have turned again to you now, that you may go with us and fight against the people of Ammon and be our head over the inhabitants of Gilead. So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, if you take me back home to fight against the people of Ammon, and the Lord delivers them to me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, the Lord will be a witness between us if you do not do according to your words. Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them. And Jephthah spoke all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. So that's the calling of Jephthah. And so each of these judges, at least most of them, I don't know if each one in particular, because some of the judges we don't know their calling. The minor judges, we don't have a lot of detail of them. But some of the other ones, like Gideon, they all have this calling, if we can call it that. We all have this moment in the beginning of each chapter where they're off doing something. Gideon, if you remember, he was thrashing wheat in a wine press, and he was hiding. And God came to Gideon and said, hey, I need you. I need you to come deliver Israel. And Gideon at first was like, well, I'm not really anybody important. I'm from a small tribe, and I live in a small land with my people. And anyway, so there was this calling with Gideon. And so same thing here with Jephthah. And so the first thing that happens is he's going to have this interaction with the people of Ammon, and he's going to try not to go to war. But that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And so notice the following, verses 11 through 28. So most of the chapter, Jephthah will dispatch some messengers to ask the king of the Ammonites what was his intent on making war with Gilead. And so he sends messengers, verse 12. Now Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the people of Ammon, saying, "What do you have against me, that you have come to fight against me in my land?" And the king will respond that he is taking back his land that Moses and the Israelites stole from his descendants when they came out of Egypt. And basically, he's wrong. There's a mix-up here, it seems. These are the Ammonites, and not to be confused with the Amorites. The Ammonites, the Amorites. And so there's some confusion here that's going to be kind of worked out. But also, it's been some 300 years since the land was taken, and nothing has happened in 300 years. And so all of a sudden, the king of Ammon comes and says, "Hey, you took our land." Well, why didn't you try to take it back 300 years ago if that was the case? And so basically, Jephthah is going to try to work this out and say, "Hey, we did not take your land. Plus, it's been 300 years. You didn't do anything until now, so let's not fight." But then the king of Ammon is like, "No, we're going to fight." Let's read some of that. Verse 13, "And the king of the people of Ammon answered the messengers, Jephthah, because Israel took away my land when they came up out of Egypt from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok and the Jordan. Now therefore restore these lands peaceably." So at least he offers to do it peaceably. "So Jephthah again sent messengers to the king of the people of Ammon and said, Thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take away the land of Moab, nor the land of the people of Ammon. For when Israel came up from Egypt, they walked through the wilderness as far as the Red Sea and came to Kadesh. Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, Please let me pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not heed. And in like manner they sent to the king of Moab, but he would not consent. So Israel remained in Kadesh, and they went along through the wilderness and bypassed the land of Edom and the land of Moab, came to the east side of the land of Moab, encamped on the other side of the Arnon. But they did not enter the border of Moab, for the Arnon was on the border of Moab. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, king of Heshbon, and Israel said to him, Please let us pass through your land into our place. So Sihon did not trust Israel to pass through his territory. So Sihon gathered all his people together, encamped in Johaz, and fought against Israel. So all of a sudden, Israel's got a war on their hands, and they're trying to just pass through the land. And the Lord God of Israel delivered Sihon and all the people into the hand of Israel, and they defeated them. Thus Israel gained possession of all the land of the Amorites, who inhabited the country. They took possession of all their territory of the Amorites, from the Arnon to the Jabbok, and from the wilderness to the Jordan. And now the Lord God of Israel has dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel. Should you then possess it? When will you not possess whatever Chemosh, your God, gives you to possess? So basically, Abimelech says, if this is your land, go pray to your God, who is mentioned here, Chemosh. Go pray to your God and see if he gives you your land back. Again, it's like asking this pew right here. It's not going to do anything. So whatever the Lord our God takes possession of before us, we will possess. And now, are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel? All right, I'm going to stop reading there. It's just a bunch of Abimelech straightening out what happened. So you have the people of Ammon, the king, and he's like, hey, you took our land. And Abimelech, I keep saying Abimelech, Jephthah, let me get my name straight here. Jephthah says, hey, let me kind of iron the details out for you. This is what happened. But the king did not listen to the words. Verse 28, however, the king of the people of Ammon did not heed the words which Jephthah sent him. So, let's give credit where credit's due. Jephthah, as a mighty man of valor, as the Bible describes him, he's put into this position of leadership. He could have just said, hey, let's just go take the Amorites. Let's just go destroy them right away. But it seems like what he does first, maybe to preserve lives, I don't know, he sends a messenger. And he says, why, through the messenger, why are you coming against us? So the king responds back, the king of the people of Ammon responds back, hey, you took our land. You took our land. And so then Jephthah sends a messenger back and says, hey, let me iron out the details for you. This is what really happened. We didn't take your land. Plus, it was 300 years ago. So why are you taking it now? So basically, Jephthah, the way that I read it, is trying to say, hey, back off. We didn't do what you're accusing us of. Let's not go to war. And let's just leave it there. And the Bible specifically tells us, verse 28, we just read it, that the king did not heed the words of Jephthah. And the king is going to go to war anyway. And he's going to lose. And Jephthah is going to be victorious. But then Jephthah is going to make this ridiculous vow. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm trying not to say too much before we get there, because I'll say what I want to say when we get there. But verse 29. So here's the victory. It's pretty short. A couple of verses. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. And he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and passed through Mizpah and Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he advanced towards the people of Ammon. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, why did he make this vow? He made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hand. I also have to question, up to this point, did he not know that God was going to? Did he not, it's hard for me to imagine that the Bible says the Spirit of the Lord came up on Jephthah, but he doesn't seem to know that he's going to be victorious over the people of Ammon, and so he makes this vow to try to appease Jehovah God to, hey, if you give me this victory, then I'll do this. I'm just like, how did you not know? I don't know. All right, so the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He says, here's his vow, if you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the people of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering. So Jephthah advanced towards the people of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he defeated them from Aroer as far as Minnith, 20 cities, and to Abel Keramim with a very great slaughter. Thus the people of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. So, as we suspected, with the Lord's help, Jephthah has victory over the people of Ammon, and the king destroyed the armies. But he made a vow. He made a vow. And it just so happens, now, let me say this. There was there was someone that I was reading this week in my study that suggested that in that day, I mean, you have to think, this is probably 5,000, 4,500 years ago. I mean, we have animals in our house, but in that day, it was more commonplace for animals to be there and be in the house. And it could have been that Jephthah thought an animal would come out of the house, and whatever animal came out of the house first, he was going to offer it. It still seems like a strange vow to think that, to not think that someone of your family would walk out before an animal. And so, anyway, he gets home, and his daughter comes out first, and so he's going to keep his vow. And let's read it and talk about it for just a moment. When Jephthah came to his house at Mizpah, there was his daughter coming out to him, to meet him with tribbles and dancing, and she was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her that he tore his clothes, and he said, "Alas, my daughter," he remembers his vow, "you have brought me very low, and are among those who trouble me. For I have given my word to the Lord, and I cannot go back on it." So she said to him, now I think the true, if I can use the word hero, and I use it loosely, I don't know, the star of chapter 11 is really the daughter. Now, Jephthah, he was a judge. God used him. He defeated the people of Ammon, but I think the daughter, to hear the vow of her father and to submit to that, to say, well, hey, whatever you vowed to God, do it. So I think she's a true star here. Verse 36, so she said to him, "My father, if you have given your word to the Lord, do to me according to what has gone out of your mouth, because the Lord has avenged you of your enemies, the people of Ammon." Then she said to her father, "Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone for 2 months, that I may go and wander in the mountains and bewail my virginity, my friends and I." So she's going to die a virgin, and she's going to, lament that fact. So he said, "Go." And he said to her, and he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her friends and bewailed her virginity on the mountains. And it was so at the end of 2 months that she returned to her father, and he carried out his vow with her which he had vowed. She knew no man. And it became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went 4 days each year to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. And so, pretty discouraging, terrible ending to chapter 11. There are some out there that argue that Jephthah did not end up sacrificing his daughter. There's some out there who argue that he did not. And they try to argue it a couple of different ways. And one of the main ways is to suggest that in the Hebrew language, back when Jephthah made his vow, that there is a Hebrew word that can go either this way or that way. So basically, back when he made his vow, that says, "Surely whatever comes out of my house shall surely be the Lord's." And, so that word "and" there in the Hebrew can either be translated "and" or "or." And so then it reads, "shall surely be the Lord's," or I will offer it up as a burnt offering. So basically, their argument is that he says, whatever comes out of my house shall surely be the Lord's. So I'll dedicate it to the Lord's. Or, not and, or I will offer it as a burnt offering. Hey. All right. Well, I'll just end there. So, appreciate your attention. We'll just end there. We'll caravan next door.